Welcome to the History and Heritage podcast with me, Liam Blake. Join me as we uncover hidden stories and insights that shaped our world. From mysteries to legacies, join us on this journey through time.
The Irish Draught horse is, in truth, the horse of the people. So that is a quote from Peter Ross in his book The Irish Horse from 1985. The roots of the Irish Draught are tangled in history. The story begins long before breed standards, in a time when horses were simply tools of survival. During the 17th century, the local Irish horse, light, wiry and bred for endurance, began to be crossed with heavier imports. Andalusians from Spain, brought over during trade or maybe conflict, added a touch of elegance and agility. Later on, breeds like the Cleveland Bay and Clydesdale were introduced to bring strength, bone and mass. The resulting animal wasn't just a random cross. Over time, a consistent and recognisable type emerged. Sturdy, good-tempered and adaptable to Ireland's tough soils and unpredictable weather. By the early 1800s, these horses were common across counties like Laois, Tipperary, Limerick and Kilkenny. Contemporary accounts in farming journals and estate records mention Irish farm horses with deep chests, strong quarters and quiet manners. There was no name for the breed yet, but the type was recognisable and respected. As rural economies grew around dairying, tillage and turf cutting, so too did the need for a general-purpose horse. This was never a land of specialist breeds. A horse had to do a bit of everything. Then came the Great Famine of the 1840s. The agricultural collapse that had decimated Ireland's rural population also affected its animals. Many horses were culled, sold or shipped abroad, but the Irish Draught type persisted, partly because even in the bleakest years there were still fields to plough and markets to reach. Mechanisation was a long way off. Horses remained essential well into the 20th century, and the breed quietly held its place. A more devastating blow came during the First World War. Between 1914 and 1918, Britain requisitioned over 100,000 horses from Ireland. They were used for artillery, cavalry, supply transport, and most were never returned. Many were Irish Draught types, prized for their combination of strength and composure. The loss to the breeding population was severe. Whole lines disappeared and recovery was slow. After independence in 1922, the new Free State government took agriculture seriously. As part of efforts to improve stock, the Department of Agriculture ran stallion depots across the country. Irish Draught stallions were placed in regional studs to improve local breeding. Some of these stallions are still present in modern pedigrees, but still no formal breed registry at this time existed. The horses were known, valued, and even admired, but they weren't yet being conserved. By the 1950s, the breed was facing a different kind of challenge. Mechanisation finally arrived. Tractors became cheaper and smaller farms began to modernise. The workhorse, quite literally, began to vanish from everyday use. As purebred numbers dropped, a few farmers and enthusiasts began to take note. It became clear that if the breed was to survive, formal conservation would be needed. In 1976, the Irish Draught Horse Society was formed. It was a grassroots effort, breeders, farmers, vets and historians working together to protect the national horse. The stud book was established, a breed standard was set, and efforts began to track and register a purebred stock. In the UK, interest in the breed had grown for its role in hunting and sport. A British branch of the society was founded in 1979. The official breed standard described a horse between 15'2" and 16'2" hands, with strong limbs, good bone and a deep girth, a powerful hindquarter and an intelligent head with a kind eye. The ideal Irish Draught is sound, straight-moving and, above all else, manageable. Colour varies, but grey, bay, chestnut and brown are all common. Ironically, just as this conservation began, a new kind of popularity emerged. When crossed with thoroughbreds, the Irish Draught proved to be an outstanding base for eventing horses. The result was the Irish Sport Horse, a hybrid that would dominate global eventing. Horses like Cruising Master Imp and Flexible carried strong draft blood. Their calm minds, clean movement and durability came from their native ancestry. Ireland's international equestrian reputation is built on these foundations. But with these success came a problem. Breeders increasingly focused on producing sport horses, often at the expense of maintaining pure Irish Draught lines. By the 1990s, genetic studies were sounding the alarm. The breed was showing signs of inbreeding, with a shrinking gene pool and concentration around a few dominant sires. The Irish Horse Board and breed societies responded with new policies, stricter evaluations, DNA typing, and a push to maintain genetic diversity. As of 2023, only about 300 purebred Irish Draught foals were registered annually in Ireland and the UK combined. The breed is officially listed as at risk by conservation groups, and yet public interest remains steady, especially among those who value heritage and temperament. Today, the Irish Draught is seen at country shows, ploughing championships, and even in therapeutic riding programs. In North America particularly, they're used for driving, trekking, and as steady pleasure horses. Police forces in both Ireland and the UK have used them for mounted patrols, and some families, particularly in rural Munster and Leinster, still keep a draft or two, not just for work, but because they trust them. Health-wise, the breed is generally sound, but like all purebreds, it has risks, especially joint issues and some hoof conditions. Screening is improving, and responsible breeders are now using genetic testing to promote long-term health. The legacy of the Irish Draught isn't glamour, it's trust. These horses were once expected to work long days and still carry the children to school the next morning. They were a presence in the yard, the shed, and the fair, solid, watchful, and reliable. They weren't pets, but they were never just tools either. Ask older farmers, and they'll recall specific horses with fondness and precision. The grey gelding that never shied at traffic, the mare that raised 3 foals and never left the field gate. These animals lived among people. They weren't trophies, they were partners. And that's why the Irish Draught remains important today. It connects us, not to a myth, but to a way of life that shaped modern Ireland. It tells a story not just of horse breeding, but of endurance, practicality, and quiet resilience. Breeds like this are worth more than their registration numbers. They're living archives. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to follow along for future ones, hop over to my Instagram at Liam Blake Podcaster. But for now, thank you for listening. We'll be back soon with more.